It's November 12th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR Today in the Treasury Titans. And as Michael Saylor likes to say, first, get the Bitcoin. And let me tell you, Michael Saylor is getting the Bitcoin across the board. I mean, Stretch is performing like an absolute champion. I can't wait to see what comes this coming Monday with how hard he hit that ATM. It'll be fun to see, but it has essentially been pinned at the high 99s into the 100s. And then as soon as the market closes in the after hours, it goes well above 100. It actually got to 130 cents at some point in post market yesterday. So really exciting times because Michael Saylor is getting the Bitcoin. Of course, nothing is financial advice, not even getting the Bitcoin. But you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't want to get the Bitcoin. Erme says, MSTR phase 3 already initiated. I think strategy is to issue a new preferred stock every quarter. Why? One, the initial issuance of the prefs are the income generated by the company without any additional equity issuance, effectively phase 3, which I think was missing, underestimating. There is no equity issuance of the initial offerings, so they should all count in the denominator of the PE ratios for each quarter. Two, equity issuance only happens on MSTR to pay for the dividends. And then three, also any ATM generated on the prefs is also income for the same reason the IPOs for each preferred stock. That said, Stream should generate $700 million this week, and that should be seen in the next quarterly earnings report. So a lot of things to unpack here. Basically, what Erme is saying is that he wants to see Strategy's strategy become to issue a preferred stock at least once a quarter, because as you can see, they're gonna raise 700 million, a billion. You know, as with Stretch, I think Stretch was over $2 billion as a raise. So this is completely non-dilutive, only accretive to MSTR shareholders when this happens, and it's awesome to see. This is exactly the MSTR flywheel in full effect. Now, I do disagree with his number two. He said equity issuance only happens on MSTR to pay for the dividends. I mean, I think that should happen for sure, but also we're going to be having a blow-off top coming up, just like we had last November. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And when it happens, guess what? I believe we want Michael Saylor to be tapping the ATM as the stock is just running nuts. That's my true belief, because it's all about stacking Bitcoin between now and 2035. This is the gold rush. If you're not in this until 2035, I'm sorry you don't have the same long-term perspective that I do, because that's my long-term perspective. 2035, that's when the digital gold rush ends. That's when the digital Bitcoin gold rush ends, because at that point, 99 point some percentage of Bitcoin, of all Bitcoin that will be mined at that point. And the gold rush will be over. And at that point, we want Strategy to be sitting on the biggest pile of Bitcoin that is possible. So I love this post, agree with all of it, except I think you should have added number two. Equity issuance only happens on MSTR to pay for dividends and when the stock is running off the wazoo. And literally, I think you should have quoted wazoo. Zinc says, Stretch will be an astounding success. Bitcoin to 103, no problem. Stretch is traded above 100 today, so they have been able to hit that ATM. Volume looks healthy too. 2026 is going to be good for Bitcoin with Strategy, Metaplanet, and Strive buying every week via their prefs. Absolutely, and more people will be joining that game, by the way. Adam Livingston says 2.5x the trading volume in just 1 month. Absolutely crazy. The iPhone took longer to catch on. And then this is the post from Strategy about how their digital credit is liquid, branded, global, and easy to access. And you can see exactly what the daily traded volume is on these stocks. And it's just now going up, up, up. And this is during a very down, down, down grinding market. So amazing to see what Strategy is pulling off during these times. And in my opinion, it's only going to get better. Chris says, volatility is a true measure of your conviction. The stronger your conviction, the less volatility affects you. The weaker your conviction, the more volatility affects you. My conviction is so strong. This volatility does not affect me. In fact, I just kind of give a smile when I do my daily purchase every day of $210 of MSTR, because I know I'm getting it at generationally stealing prices. I'm just stealing this. It feels like I'm stealing. So my conviction is so strong. This volatility is just part of the game. Volatility is a gift to the faithful. Volatility is vitality. I believe this with my heart, with my soul, with my dollars that I'm turning now into MSTR shares and Bitcoin. Hugh says, just since Stretch is $100 $6.19 pre-market. Meanwhile, at Strategy HQ, employees question what to do with all this money. Saylor suggests buying Bitcoin with it. Everybody cheers. And this is obviously a little bit of a joke from Hugh about what is Strategy going to do with all this money, because we know what they're going to do with all this money. They're going to turn it into the most pristine capital in the world, aka Bitcoin. Bitcoin Archive says, just in, Metaplanet CEO says that 0.2% of all Japanese are now shareholders of the company. Bitcoin is gaining traction in Japan. It's gaining traction with me as well, by the way. I own a lot of this company. Of course, not nearly as much as I own of MSTR, but I'm a big believer in Metaplanet and what they're doing. They're going to follow Saylor strategy and take over Japan. Zinc says, the future looks bright for Bitcoin. We're going to have our first full week of Saylor hitting the ATM for Stretch, which is starting to see a perpetual bid above 100. Who knew that 10.5% would be far more attractive than 3 to 4% for T-bills? Very bullish. And not only is it 10.5%, we have to remember, this is tax deferred for 10 years. Tax deferred for 10 years. And then I actually chatted with ChatGPT about this. At the end of 10 years, what happens? Well, according to ChatGPT, and again, this is according to ChatGPT, then you just start paying the actual qualified taxes at that point. So around 20%. So it's absolutely insane that we're giving 10 years of this gift completely tax deferred. And then after 10 years, we just start paying what we would have been paying this whole time if it was qualified dividends in the first place. So absolutely insane stuff. I've got a great clip from Michael Saylor talking to Schwab. Enjoy the show. Senator Cynthia Lummis recently announced that funding for a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve can start anytime. This is a massive step forward for a strategic crypto stockpile, and no surprise, was soon followed by a new all-time high for Bitcoin. If you're looking to buy more Bitcoin, BitIRA can help. In fact, BitIRA will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into Bitcoin. This also allows you to buy Bitcoin using pre-tax funds, then continue to invest in it over time as you do any other retirement account. And if you want, you can even add XRP, Ethereum, or other cryptos. BitIRA protects your assets with end-to-end insurance, highly secure storage, multi-encryption, and is registered with the US government. Your IRA is fully IRS compliant. Best of all, you can trade crypto within your retirement account without incurring taxes on any buys or sells. Just go to bitira.com/JLD and request a free info guide. Once you do that and open your IRA, you'll get a free ledger. Think about this. In March, President Trump signed an executive order for the Treasury to manage 200,000 Bitcoin as the foundation for a reserve. That's just the foundation. Go to bitira.com/JLD to open a tax-sheltered IRA in Bitcoin. Fire Nation, when you want more for your business, more privacy, more guidance, more success, it all starts with Northwest Registered Agents. These legends have been helping entrepreneurs launch and grow their businesses for nearly 30 years. They're the largest registered agent and LLC service in the U.S. with over 1,500 corporate guides, real people who know your state's laws and actually care about helping you win. With Northwest, you can build your complete business identity, everything from what your customers see to what they don't, operating agreements, meeting minutes, compliance paperwork, and more. You'll get thousands of free resources, lawyer drafted forms, and step-by-step guides all in one place, and you don't even need to create an account to access them. Best part, privacy is automatic. Northwest never sells your data and handles everything in-house. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and get your complete business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Visit www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free.
I think the next thing was the passage of the Genius Act, championed by Senator Haggerty, and that created a stable coin environment in the United States. And the idea there is, why can't we tokenize the US dollar and ship $1 trillion of it to the rest of the world, or maybe $10 trillion of it to the rest of the world? Because money wants to move at the speed of light. And this is the critical part of the crypto ecosystem. So people, the last two banks that moved crypto dollars around were Silvergate and Signature Bank, and they were assassinated by the previous administration. They were shut down on a weekend for no good reason. They were perfectly well capitalized, and they were literally murdered by regulators. So you can imagine that the banks were afraid to get involved with crypto under the previous administration. Getting a supportive White House, a supportive cabinet, a supportive head of the Treasury, and then a law that says that it is legal for you to do this, I think was pretty important. Then that has resulted in an avalanche of institutional adoption. And now you have companies like JP Morgan, right, and Bank of America and Wells Fargo and BNY Mellon and PNC Bank and Citi that are all announcing their support for this asset class. And if the trillion-dollar banks are willing to custody and they're willing to extend credit and they're willing to handle the asset class and they're willing to bank the crypto industry, that's really the necessary condition to 10x from here. Like Bitcoin got to 100,000 without their help, but getting to 1 million requires the banks to bank the asset. And so the next 4-year period is really about banking Bitcoin and the support for digital assets in general by the major establishment of bankers in the United States and everybody else in the world, right? You can imagine the bankers in Australia, Canada, Singapore, the Middle East, and Europe, Mexico, they all follow the U.S. banking standard. And so what you have is an avalanche or a sea change here, and the headwinds have become tailwinds.
What's the second best? There is no second best.